Good evening and welcome to BATV News. I'm Kenil Gale. It's Jamaica's best summer ever. That's the word from the Tourism Ministry. Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says he is expecting another record-breaking year as the industry continues to exceed expectations. Minister Bartlett released the latest numbers during a press briefing at the ministry's New Kingston offices this morning. Javon Keys reports.
The best summer yet experienced by Jamaica. That is how Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett described summer 2018, with arrivals between May and August going up by some 6% compared to the 2017 period.
That is 884,324 visitors compared to 834,292 in 2017.
This figure represents stopover arrivals. Minister Bartlett says this brings the total number of year-to-date arrivals up to some 1.3 million persons. He is also expecting the overall arrivals for the year to exceed expectations, with arrivals from January to August reaching almost 3 million visitors.
Provincial estimates indicate that between January and August of this year, we welcomed 2.95 million visitors. That is approximately 3 million visitors have come to Jamaica already in the first 8 months of the year. And that indicates clearly that we are on track to surpass the 4 million again and perhaps take us to just over 4.3, 4.4.
He says to surpass last year's figure will be a phenomenal achievement, as 2017 was a record-breaking year. Meanwhile, the gross foreign exchange earned for the May to August period also saw growth compared to last year.
Estimated gross foreign exchange earnings for the period, and this is the exciting part. January to July 2018 was 1.93 billion, up 6.3% over the same period last year. With stopover arrivals itself earning 1.8 and the cruise earning 110,000.
And with the figure for the 8 months up to August now estimated to be about $2.2 billion, the earnings are expected to surpass the $3 billion mark by the end of the calendar year. For BATV News, I'm Javon Keys.
The Jamaica Customs Agency launched its electronic single window project this morning. The project will be implemented in 2 phases over a 3-year period. Sashana Small has more.
An electronic single market window allows traders to submit all their documents at a single agency instead of multiple agencies. Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries Audley Shaw says this will make trading easier.
Ultimately, the frustration of having to provide the same information to multiple agencies, which leads to delays, will be eliminated.
He points out that making trade easier and more efficient will ultimately increase the country's competitiveness on a global scale.
That will see greater efficiency, transparency, and competitiveness. The ESW will see the efficient use of our resources as we streamline our business processes and procedures. Transparency of our processes through the availability of accurate, reliable, and timely information, and improved conditions of doing business leading to improved competitiveness.
The project is a collaborative effort across different agencies such as the Ministry of Health, the Trade Facilitation Task Force, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. Minister Shaw says the electronic single market window is an important addition to the country's pool of initiatives aimed at facilitating better trade.
The ESW represents an important addition to Jamaica's trade facilitation program and complements well other initiatives such as the business reforms being led by the National Competitiveness Council to increase Jamaica's ranking on key global competitiveness indices such as Doing Business Report, Logistics Performance Index, and the Global Competitiveness Report.
Meanwhile, Minister Shaw says he has directed the Trade Facilitation Task Force to provide him with a list of outdated permits and charges that are hindering trade efficiency.
The ESW will significantly address some of the major problems faced by the trade through the provision of a single avenue for traders to lodge standardized information and documents for all import, export, and transit-related regulatory requirements.
For BATV News, I'm Shoshana Small.
The General Counsel of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, JCSA, has instructed its leadership to re-engage and appeal to the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to treat with urgency the need to facilitate public sector workers who are experiencing difficulty with arriving at work in a timely manner. This comes against the background of current challenges that are being experienced as a result of ongoing road infrastructure upgrades, zones of special operations, and states of public emergency, which have been declared in some communities within the corporate area. The JCSA said it had requested a relaxation of the punctuality and attendance standards of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service and the institution of flexible work arrangements for those affected staff. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, says the government will announce measures to address plastic pollution at a meeting with G7 Ministers of Environment, Energy and Oceans. The meeting will take place in Canada from September 18 to 20. Minister Vaz says the actions to be undertaken are aimed at making the environment cleaner and healthier for Jamaicans. He says Jamaica is moving towards a ban on single-use plastic. However, while doing so, the government is working on a plastic minimization project in collaboration with the United Nations Environment Group. This, with the support of the government of Japan, will work to reduce and manage plastic marine litter from land-based activities. And when we come back, Cabinet gives a Vernon Field Airport City project the green light. This and more after the break. Welcome back. Cabinet has approved the Vernon Field Development Project in Clarendon. The project will see the area being developed into an aerotropolis. The facility will serve as a multimodal airport city with an official airspace college. The announcement was made by Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, Mike Henry, while speaking at the Rotary Club of Downtown Kingston meeting earlier today. Here's Jamila Maitland.
The $2.5 billion project is expected to provide employment, educational training facilities, security, and significant economic benefit for the country.
We anticipate from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security that 606,000 jobs will be located in the area. The tax increment to be generated by the wide range of economic activity is estimated average to take of 11% tax review will amount to $6.6 billion. And the aviation training and certification center and academic training and research clusters. That will probably become the #1 priority that I'm pushing because the Aerospace College has to be a major element of that.
Minister Henry says the plan is to have Vernon Field host some of the largest planes in the world while offering training and employment for students at the Caribbean Maritime University.
More than 637,000 new pilots, I said, is needed. That's 80 new pilots for every day for the next 2 decades. World leaders in aviation training estimated last summer that more than 90,000 new pilots are required by 2027.
He says while the government doesn't have a timeline for the fully implemented project, several investors and stakeholders have already expressed interest.
Expression of interest have been received from potential investors. Expressions of interest received from operators. Airport site is already zoned under the new Clarendon Development Order. Obstacle limitation zones established by the JCAA and the sensitization activities is ongoing.
For BATV News, I'm Jamila Maitland.
The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, says it does not support reinstating duty on imported sugar. Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Audley Shaw, has alleged that sugar imports meant for the manufacturing sector have illegally found their way into the distributive and retail trade. He says because of this, his ministry is looking at reimposing duties on sugar imports meant for the manufacturing sector. He notes that legitimate manufacturers will be able to reclaim these duties within 30 days. However, the JCC disagrees. The chamber says the minister should share with the public and law enforcement any evidence he has of manufacturers importing sugar and then distributing or reselling it. The JCC says while it fully supports having the law take its course without fear or favor, it doesn't support any attempt to impose additional burdens on the manufacturing industry through the reimposition of duties or the imposition of cesses that will drive up the cost of doing business. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is responding to criticisms about the number of foreigners being granted work permits. The ministry says it is modernizing the country's work permit system in a bid to balance investment opportunities from foreigners while providing employment opportunities for locals. Minister of Labour and Social Security Shahini Robinson addressed the issue during the ministry's quarterly press briefing yesterday. Jamila Maitland tells us more.
Minister Robinson says she's aware of the overwhelming concerns from locals about the number of foreign work permits being granted for projects across the island. She's also acknowledging complaints that there are local skills available for some of the jobs which permits have been granted, but she says oftentimes there isn't enough.
In this global economy, just as our people pursue opportunities overseas, the granting of work permits is critical in realizing the nation's economic growth. It is a mechanism to plug the gaps in skill sets to provide sizable manpower investments in tourism, construction, and infrastructure. Many projects being carried out across the island require specialized skills that may not be available locally in adequate numbers.
However, Minister Robinson is pointing out that the number of foreign work permits is actually decreasing. She notes that some 350 less permits have been issued so far for the fiscal year when compared to the same period last year.
I have been insisting on a thorough review of all applications for work permits. As a result, the numbers are trending down. For the corresponding period last year, we issued 1,675 permits. 835 of them were new applications and 781 were renewals. As your minister, I do believe that we have a responsibility to find the balance between facilitating investment opportunities as well as meeting the employment needs of our citizens.
She admits that while the government is facilitating investment opportunities, there needs to be a balance when meeting employment needs. She says the ministry has developed a new system for granting work permits.
This will replace the existing legacy work system and business processes with a new client-focused web-based work permit software. The new regime will be designed to cut the processing time for work permits, analyze the database of skills in Jamaica, and help to simplify the process of doing business in Jamaica.
For BATV News, I'm Jamila Maitland.
Motorists will see an increase at the pumps come tomorrow. 87 octane will cost $138.54. That's up by 31 cents per litre. 90 octane also goes up 31 cents to be sold for $141.38 per litre. Automotive diesel oil goes up by $1.89 to be sold for $140.85 per litre, while ultra-low sulfur diesel will cost an extra $1.75 and will be sold for $145.27. $1.30 will be added to kerosene, bringing the price up to $123.51. Propane will be sold for $1.35 more, going for $58.38 per litre, while butane will be sold for $65.37 per litre. That's an increase of $1.55. Stay with us. Regional and international stories are up next. Welcome back. Time now for regional and international news. A year after Hurricane Maria ravaged French Saint Martin, the island's tourism industry is still trying to recover. Here's more.
Orient Bay Beach, a stretch of sand and turquoise waters known as the gem of Saint Martin Island. Though the view might still be the same, the tourism industry is still recovering from the passage of Hurricane Irma.
I thought there would be more things open. A lot of work still needs to be done. I mean, I understand you can't get everything the next day when you're on an island.
Every day, this sailing club manager takes a detour to the beach to keep an eye on the equipment that survived the hurricane.
We had windsurfing, kite surfing boards, a small catamaran, paddle boards. Actually, this is pretty much all we have left.
With little to no income, Cécile is living off her savings. A precarious situation, but she says Saint Martin still has a bright future.
The island will get back on track. It's definitely taking a lot longer than we thought. Just after Irma, we were optimistic and thought things would move fast. Now we realise it will take longer.
Last year, a Category 5 storm left a trail of destruction. Since then, only 1 in 7 hotels has reopened its doors. This hotel owner is still stuck in limbo. He's been waiting for months for money from his insurance company.
We are at the mercy of this money. It's a claim that no one refutes. But the money hasn't appeared on my account.
Hotel industry representatives estimate that 2 in 5 rooms will be ready by the end of the year. This on an island where 95% of the income comes from the tourism industry.
Some schools in Guyana accepted students yesterday, even as the teachers' strike continued. The Ministry of Education says it has activated its substitute teachers plan until an agreement is reached with the Guyana Teachers Union. More in this report.
Nationwide strike by teachers continued today. Some schools in Georgetown were badly affected, as a majority of teachers stayed away. But at many of the top high schools, there was a large turnout of teachers. In many cases, teachers were in the classrooms conducting classes. At the country's leading high school, Queen's College, the administration was seen conducting registration for the intake of 6th form students for the new academic year. The staff room appeared relatively populated as per normal, as some teachers were engaged in the classroom. School officials, however, did not want to offer any comment. At the Bishop's High School, classes were taking place as normal, with even assignments and tests being given. One teacher told news source that all of the teachers at the school were on duty and have been reporting to the classroom and conducting classes. Over at St. Joseph High School, a senior teacher told news source that just about half of the school's teachers were on duty today. Some others were attending classes at the University of Guyana, while one reported sick. When news source visited St. Stanislaus College on Breakdam, students were out in full numbers, but teachers could not be found in the classrooms. Many of them remained in the staff room as their form of protest. At other schools across the country, it appeared as though many of the teachers were in the school but not in the classrooms. Protests continued today in several other parts of the country as many teachers stepped up their support for the strike action. At a press conference last evening, the Education Ministry encouraged parents to send their children to school since the contingency plan for substitute teachers had been activated. The ministry and the Guyana Teachers Union remain at an impasse over the increase in salaries for teachers.
Come January, France will be moving to a new tax system that will see income tax deductions taking place at source in a pay-as-you-earn PAYE scheme. Here's more.
France will be moving to the pay-as-you-earn tax system next year, French Prime Minister Edouard Philippe has confirmed. It was one of President Macron's campaign commitments, but fears about teething trouble led to speculation the reform might be postponed. I can assure you that on January 1st of next year, the income tax will be deducted at source, and that it will be extremely simple and easy for taxpayers to use. Philippe later tweeted, "This is a good reform that will adapt itself to the life of the French, so we don't have to ask the French people to adapt to it." But concerns remain that many French companies won't be ready to implement the reform. Le Parisien newspaper reported massive mistakes in early testing, including employees paying tax twice or sometimes for other people.
Protesters were out on the streets in southern Yemen for a third consecutive day today. The protesters are demonstrating against the worsening economic situation, including rising prices and the collapse of the currency. Al Jazeera's Andrew Simmons reports.
3 days of demonstrations in Yemen came as a forerunner to the latest developments on Geneva peace talks. The people here are calling for some help because of another enemy in this conflict, Yemen's crippled economy. The Norwegian Refugee Council says food prices and the collapse of Yemen's currency that slumped to its lowest ever value against the dollar on Tuesday are threatening to kill more people than bombs and guns. But it was the deaths of children in the Saudi Emirati coalition-led bombing last month that killed 40 children, 29 of them on a school bus, that prompted the coalition's main ally, the United States, to respond.
We can't ever see innocent people killed under the auspices of trying to settle a dispute. Since then, we certainly gave our concerns to Saudi Arabia. I will tell you that we appreciated the transparency of them saying they were going to do an investigation. We were concerned, but they surprised us all because they did the investigation very quickly, came out and admitted fault and said they would, you can't totally make it right with families, but said that they would do something to try and do that, and then followed up by saying they're going to try and figure out what went wrong and how they can make it right.
No mention there of UN calls for the US to stop supplying arms to Saudi Arabia. In Yemen, the people have to try to move on, but it's impossible when even civil servants who haven't been paid for 2 years are reduced to begging for food.
People are suffering from the prices hike. Inside the cities, people cannot find enough to eat. This is why they are protesting. They want to send a clear message to the legitimate government.
In Aden, political powers have been calling for civil disobedience. Shops, banks and exchange offices closed down as part of the protests. The temporary governing council, which has the backing of the United Arab Emirates, called on citizens to demonstrate against peace talks that don't include its members. Another twist that doesn't bide well for the UN-led efforts at getting peace talks going. The Council issued a statement reiterating its opposition to the talks due to be held in Geneva on Thursday, aimed at trying to reach some sort of settlement in this crisis. And so the demonstrations haven't just been about humanitarian suffering, but also political issues. Andrew Simmons, Al Jazeera, Djibouti.
Stay with us. Talking Stocks comes up next. Welcome back. Time now for Talking Stocks. 60 stocks traded today, of which 34 advanced, 20 declined, and 6 traded firm. The main JC index advanced by 732 points to close at over 333,000 points. The junior index also advanced, going up by 28 points to close at 3,294 points. Over 77 million units traded today, valued at more than $453 million on the Jamaican dollar market. While on the US dollar market, over 41,000 units traded, valued at $10,227 US dollars. 138 student living ordinary shares with over 67 million units trading accounted for 87% of market volume. JMMB Group 7.5% VR Jamaican dollar preference shares with over 1.4 million units trading was second, and Indies Pharma ordinary shares was third with a little over 1.3 million units trading, which accounted for 1% of the market volume which crossed the floor. The main advancers were Siboney Group up a cent to close at 12 cents, Access Financial Services up $2.86 to close at $44.99, and Fosterage Company up 19 cents to close at $2.99. The main decliners were Cygnus Credit Investments US dollar ordinary shares down $2.30 US to close at $11.42 US. Followed by 138 student living ordinary shares down 49 cents to close at $3.80, and SSL Venture Capital down 18 cents to close at $1.52. In foreign exchange trading, the Jamaican dollar lost ground against the US dollar today but gained on the Canadian dollar and the British pound. The US ended the day trading for an average $137.14, gaining 2 cents on the Jamaican dollar. The Canadian dollar ended the day selling for an average $103.78, losing 61 cents to the Jamaican dollar. And the British pound sold for $175.51, losing $1.62 to the Jamaican dollar. And that's the news, but before we go, a recap of our top story. It's Jamaica's best summer ever. That's the word from the Tourism Ministry. Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett says he's expecting another record-breaking year as the industry continues to exceed expectations. Thanks for watching. For more content, please visit our website at batvja.com. I'm Kenil Gale. Pleasant viewing.